Okay, so this is Laura Lewinska's ball routine from Aphrodite Cup. I have not watched this routine before, so cold reaction, I guess. I have never, a lot of the routines that I comment on so far, I have watched before, or at least I've watched them at other competitions before. I don't think I've ever watched this routine, so let's see. I don't particularly like the talking voice in the routines, like when the music is... I like music with lyrics. I think music with lyrics is nice. That's a rule that I enjoy, and I wish that that rule had existed when I did routines. I would have loved to have done a routine to a song with lyrics. I have no problem with the lyrics. I think it's nice. I don't like when it's more like talking. I feel like it's not really in the spirit of rhythmic gymnastics. We'll have to see how her music plays out, but it seems like it's going to be an interesting style. It's just, I don't know, like the laughing and stuff. Unfortunate mistake there. It's interesting, sometimes people drop because the trajectory of the throw is bad. This was just right there. Just sort of mistimed this catch, so it was right there, you know? She didn't squeeze it. It's interesting. This is more of a mental mistake than a physical mistake. Anyway, mental mistakes are part of the sport. Unfortunately, we make a lot of them as human beings. So far, her ball handling isn't offending me too much. It's not, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, if we looked at routines from the past, we would say her fingers are kind of open on the ball, kind of the thumb is there, but compared to a lot of what I see today, it's not nearly as bad. But it's like, at this point, the standard of what I'm accepting as okay ball handling is a little bit lower than what I would have in the past, just because I've seen so much worse. Yeah, it's really not bad the way that she takes the rolls. But she did that catch again. That's something that I don't love, seeing the repetition of the same elements. I feel like, you know, when you're at this level, there are more types of catches you probably know how to do. You should know how to do that are without hands and vision. For example, she could have caught with her arms over her head, between the arms instead, or something like this, right? She did this catch earlier. It was the one back here that she dropped. You know, she had different elements under it, but still, like, this was just a catch from a toss without a risk, and this one was a risk. So one's an apparatus difficulty and one's a risk. It's allowed to be this way. I just kind of like to see when people do a bit more variety, that's all. Compared to the gymnast we watched before, the ball handling is much cleaner, like compared to the gymnast from Cyprus. I wish the camera wasn't so zoomed in. Unfortunately, she dropped another one of her risks. Her fingers are very open on the ball, even though she doesn't offensively grip the ball, and I actually think that if she closed her fingers more for that catch, it would actually be better. It was too back anyway, but sometimes people think that the open hand is better, but it's not actually better. It's actually more inconsistent. And she flicks her wrist in the toss, and she also grabs, like, with a really open hand reaching for the ball. She does open her fingers a lot, but she's not as bad with gripping as a lot of other people who I've talked about. Okay, I mean, I think I've already talked about the turning in prior to the fouette turn. She doesn't do it as bad as some other people, but it's still very turned in the preparation. And of course, like, rhythmic is not ballet. We don't have to be in a fully turned out fourth position like with full turnout, but I would expect to see just a slightly turned out fourth position going into the fouette turns. And I'm really surprised how many people just, I mean, that's her first step for the turn and it's just completely turned in. Her butt is sticking out. It's kind of the same as the gymnast from Cyprus who I pointed out. It's maybe not as severe as hers. I don't like the bent arm in the turns. I think that it really takes away from the beautiful long lines that we want to have with the arms and the ball that make like rhythmic so beautiful when people handle their ball through straight arms. Really unfortunate turn preparation position. I'm seeing this a lot. It's not just her. Then people will pass the ball. We can peep the thumb right here. She's pushing into the ball, so she's passing incorrectly. And then just holding it on the chest during the turns. This is just my personal opinion. I don't like the theatrical facial expressions in rhythmic. I think that rhythmic expression does not need to include that. I personally don't like that type of expression even when I see it in dance. I prefer what I call real expression or true expression, which is expression that you do from the inside of your body out, not superficial facial expression. It doesn't mean that no facial expression should be done, but true facial expressions, not affectations, in my opinion. I know that they are allowed in rhythmic, but they are not extra points, so hopefully they will not start predominating in the sport because I think they actually take away from the expression. You can't really see all of how she's handling the ball due to the camera being so close up on her. Let's look at the turns one more time. Really turned in, grabbing the ball, bent elbow. My opinion only about the expression. It goes with the music, but still. So this is one where if I hadn't just watched someone who was so terrible with the ball, I would probably be more critical. She has some gripping issues, but she doesn't do it as bad as the gymnast from Cyprus that I just watched before this. Oh, yeah, that's that catch I'm talking about from the rebound. Why are you taking, and not just her, but everyone who's doing this, why are you taking your bounds? Rebound? Why are you taking rebound like that? You don't take a rebound with your hand like that. What is happening? I actually demonstrated the way that I was taught to take a rebound of the ball off of your body into your hand when I did my little first original rant about ball. When I got my ball out and did a bunch of these elements. When I say I did these elements, not the like body elements that these girls are doing. I made like the small hand legs. But I illustrated and I demonstrated how to take this element correctly and how I'm surprised so many people do it so incorrectly. I was not taught to do it like that at all. And I see so many high-level gymnasts doing it like that. If I would have done it like that, my coach would have definitely said something like, what are you doing with your hand there? She wouldn't have been very excited to see me take the ball like that. I don't think any of my coaches would have accepted this. Anyway. Gripping when we pass. It's just not as bad as the last gymnast, so I'm like, well, it could get worse. It's like when your standards get lowered and you start thinking something's okay because you've seen worse. It's a dangerous road to go down, guys. Against the chest with the catch, so that's just a mistake. I'm not even really speaking about when you have a trajectory error. She probably intended a trap there. But yeah, not as bad as the last gymnast, but definitely not very good. She's definitely not happy with the routine. Obviously, her face shows disappointment. She had a couple of drops. Pretty hairstyle. Love the hairstyle. I like the leotard. I didn't like the beginning of her music. I thought it was, I don't necessarily love the talking in the routines or the theatrical expression, but I do think that she had some good moments in the routine. Some issues with her ball technique for sure, and the fouettes continue to be something that I notice a lot with the turned in legs. So that was Laura Lewinska.